to Money Makes. My name is Callie, and today we're going to be making the most decadent and fluffy chocolate babka. So, chocolate babka is essentially a swirl bread. It is really delicious. However, the babka that we're making today, the texture is going to be far from that of any kind of bread. It is way more similar to the interior of like the fluffiest and softest cinnamon roll you've ever had. It is absolutely amazing. This is a really special recipe, and I can't wait to share it with you. So, let's get right into it. But before we begin, as always, please remember to subscribe, like, share, chat in the comment section, and follow me on social media for more recipes and additional content. So let's go over the ingredients. What we have here is some all-purpose flour. I have some cinnamon, sugar, salt. I have 1 stick of butter that is very, very soft. As you can see, it needs to be soft, very important. I have a couple of egg yolks, a full egg. I have some active dried yeast. I also have a little bit of extra sugar here. Vanilla, water, buttermilk, and that is it for now. We're gonna have an additional ingredients when it comes to the filling, but we'll get into those when the time comes. So, first things first, what we wanna do is activate the yeast. And to activate the yeast, what we're gonna need to do is warm up a little bit of water. I think the easiest way to do this is in a small saucepan. However, you can do this in the microwave. And so what you want when you're activating yeast is for the water to be warm. You do not want it to be boiling. Ideally, you want the temperature to be between like 100 and 110 degrees Fahrenheit. The best way to know if the water is at the correct temperature is to use an instant read thermometer. They're really cheap on Amazon. They're a good investment if you don't already have one. Okay, so next I'm just gonna add this water into my yeast and my sugar mixture. I'm gonna give this a stir, and then we're gonna let this sit for about, I would say 8 to 10 minutes, or until you see a big layer of like foam and bubbles that are gonna cover the surface of this yeast mixture. Next, just in the meantime, while we wait for that, we can add all of our dry ingredients to our stand mixer. I'm just going to turn this on, and we're just gonna mix all the dry ingredients together until they're incorporated. Okay, so it's been 10 minutes, and as you can hopefully see, the yeast has gotten really large and foamy, and it is completely transformed. It's like a big fluffy cloud, and so that lets you know it is good to go. So next up, what we're gonna do is we're gonna add all of our wet ingredients together, and we're just gonna give them a stir to combine. Okay, so next up, I also didn't mention I have the dough attachment on my stand mixer on. I'm just gonna add all of this liquid into my stand mixer, and then I'm gonna turn this on to, you wanna start lower so you don't get make a huge mess, but start on medium, then I'm probably gonna pump it up to about medium high, and I'm just gonna let this spin for just a few minutes, maybe like 3-4 minutes, or however long it takes for all of the ingredients to be nice and combined. Okay, so as you can see here, all of the ingredients are nice and combined. So next up, what we're gonna do is we're gonna add about a tablespoon or so, maybe like 2 tablespoons, I'm just eyeballing it, of the softened butter. It needs to be very, very soft, into my stand mixer. I'm gonna turn my stand mixer back onto medium, and I'm just gonna give the butter about maybe like 30 seconds to a minute or so for it to incorporate into the dough before I add another couple of tablespoons of butter. And I'm just gonna repeat this process until all of the butter is nice and incorporated. Okay, so as you can see, I added all of the butter. So next what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna, again, scrape down the bottom and the sides of this bowl, and then I'm gonna set a timer, and I'm gonna let this knead on about medium speed for 10 minutes. And occasionally I'm gonna go in and just scrape down the bottom and the sides, again, to make sure everything is nice and incorporated. And after 10 minutes, I will show you what this looks like. So it has been 10 minutes later, and this dough is ready to go. If you're looking at this dough going like, this is so sticky, holy moly, how am I gonna be able to handle this? You have to trust me. You want a really, sticky, hydrated dough like this for a recipe like babka, because in the end, this is gonna be one of the things that makes it so just fluffy and moist and just out of this world. So here I am just adding some neutral oil. I'm using a little bit of vegetable oil, and I'm just going to generously grease a large bowl. Okay, and so also the reason why I'm using oil and not flour right now to handle this dough is because I don't really want to add any more flour. That's going to make the dough less hydrated, and I want to keep it really nice and hydrated. So now all I'm doing is kind of just forming this dough into a ball. Add oil as needed if you feel like it gets really sticky, and just do your best. It doesn't have to be perfect, to just kind of seal the bottom a little bit Okay, so next up, I'm gonna cover this with plastic wrap and pop it in a warm spot to rise for about a couple of hours or so. I'll show you exactly what it looks like after or once it's ready. Keep in mind, because this is a brioche type of dough, meaning it has a lot of butter and fat in it, it is going to rise much slower than, let's say, a pizza dough might. So just keep that in mind. I'm gonna cover this with plastic wrap. I'll see you once the first rise is finished. I'll show you what that looks like before we pop it in the refrigerator. Okay, so it has been exactly 2 hours and my dough has puffed up significantly. I wouldn't say it's exactly doubled in size, but it's definitely gotten significantly larger. So what I'm gonna do next is pop some plastic wrap back over the top of this and put this in the refrigerator overnight. And then tomorrow we will finish this up. Okay, so it is day 2 of babka making, and my babka dough I just took out of the refrigerator, and you want it to sit at room temperature for 1 hour. And in the meantime, what we're gonna do is work on the filling. So for the chocolate filling, this is what you're gonna need. Some dark chocolate, I have some unsalted butter, a little bit of brown sugar, cocoa powder, instant coffee or espresso powder, a little bit of cinnamon, heavy cream, and that's it. Oh, and a little bit of salt that I need to go grab. So first things first, what we're gonna do is just turn our skillet on to about medium, and I'm just gonna add all of the ingredients, stir it until it melts. That easy. Okay, so all of my ingredients finished melting and it is looking great. This is gonna be so good. So I'm just gonna add this back into the bowl that I had earlier. No need to dirty another bowl. And now I'm just gonna cover this with some plastic wrap once it cools down a bit, and I'm just gonna let this chill and thicken in the refrigerator for about the same amount of time it'll take for the dough to finish sitting at room temperature. And so by that time, once this is nice and chilled, we'll start assembling the babka, and we are almost done, I promise. Okay, so we are back. Here I have my dough that has been sitting at room temperature and it is good to go. I do want to point out that if you don't notice a whole lot of growth after the dough comes out of the refrigerator overnight, that is totally normal. When you're cold fermenting, the fermentation process goes a lot slower. So in that time, you just need to kind of trust the process. I'm sure it did grow even slightly, and it's not only about the growth. Chilling this in the refrigerator overnight is really gonna make the flavor so much better. It's gonna be so delicious, and it's gonna be much easier once it's chilled like this to form into like that braided babka that we all know and love. So just trust me on this. You're gonna be happy that you put this in the refrigerator overnight. Now we're gonna roll this dough out on a floured baking surface. Flour pretty generously to around, I mean, again, approximately like 12 by 16 inches. It doesn't need to be totally perfect, but just do the best you can. Okay, so I'm just dusting my rolling pin and I'm just gonna roll this up. Okay, so as you can see, this dough is looking good. So next what we're gonna do is we're gonna add the chocolate onto the top, and you want the chocolate to go to every corner, every edge, but you wanna leave maybe like about an inch on one side, because that's good. That edge that doesn't have the chocolate is gonna help us seal the dough all together. Okay, so here we go. Now that my chocolate is spread, I'm just gonna roll this lengthwise like this. Okay, there we go. That was very easy. Now we're just going to kind of seal it a little bit. Just do the best you can. And now I'm kind of just pressing the edges in like so. I'm just flipping this around because it'll be a little easier for me. Okay, so I forgot a knife, so I just went and grabbed that. And I also have my loaf pan here that I had greased with either some nonstick spray or butter, lined with parchment paper. And so now what I'm gonna do is I rolled my dough out maybe a little longer than it needed to be, so I'm just kind of condensing it, pushing it together like so. All right, so now I'm just gonna take my knife and run it down the center of the dough, leaving just like a tiny bit of it still together at the top. We're just gonna do a really, really simple braid. So just take one side, fold it over the other, and then take the other side, fold it over that, just keep braiding. But that's it. Now I'm just gonna put this in to my pan carefully, like so. And you can kind of pinch the seam at the bottom if you want as well. And so now this needs to rise for an hour and a half. Okay, so an hour and a half later, and this is what you should see. You should see a babka that's big and puffy and has expanded in size, and that means that it's good to go. So when there was about 30 minutes left or so of the dough rising, I just preheated my oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, so that is ready to go. So next, we're just gonna hit this with an egg wash. An egg wash is simply one egg with about a teaspoon of water or milk, and I'm just gonna brush this all over the top. And then I'm gonna pop this into my oven, again at 350 degrees for 40 minutes. Okay, so here we are 40 minutes later, and this looks beautiful. This is exactly what you're looking for. It's nice and puffy and golden brown all over the top, and it is amazing. But you do not want to forget this step. So here I have some simple syrup. So simple syrup is just simply equal parts water and sugar. Just boil it and stir it until the sugar is all dissolved, and that's all you need to do. And so as soon as this comes out of the oven, what we want to do is brush this simple syrup all over the top of this babka. And what that's going to do is it's going to obviously provide extra sweetness, but it's also going to sit and penetrate the babka, and it's really going to make this babka just moist and soft and just like even more moist than it was already going to be. It is just absolutely amazing. But I'm just going to continue adding the simple syrup, and then I'm going to give you a close-up of just how delicious and fluffy this babka really is. Okay, so we are back. I hope that you were able to see just how decadent and soft and fluffy this babka is. It was a labor of love, but it is so worth it. You are going to be so happy once you make this recipe. And if you love this chocolate babka, which I am confident that you will, you are certainly going to love my other babka flavors that I have coming out. I have a Nutella babka, I have like a seasonal pumpkin spice babka, and just more to come, and you are absolutely going to love them. So, as always, for the full recipe and instructions, head to my blog, winniemix.com. I'll put the link for that in the description box below. Click on the link, the recipe will come right up, and make this chocolate babka. I promise you're going to love it, and let me know what you think, because I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.